First picture. Barbie sitting in a rocking chair in front of a cabin. Morning sunlight sparkled on the snowy peaks. Barbie leaned back and took a deep breath of clean, cool air. Barbie was on a vacation at the Rocky Mountain Lodge in Johnson, Wyoming. Although it was late summer, mornings were cold in the hills. She pulled her brown vest more slightly around her. A door opened up and then banged shut. Two girls dressed in jeans and turtlenecks raced onto the wide porch. They sat on the wooden railing, swinging their legs. "Hi, Stacy," Barbie said, getting up. She ruffled her younger sister's blonde hair. "Hi, Janet. All ready for our big adventure?" "You bet," Stacy exclaimed. "We can't wait." Janet's eyes flashed with excitement. "I could hardly sleep last night. Neither could Mom." Janet's sister, Carolyn, had come along to help Barbie look after Stacy and two of her closest friends. They were going to hike to a beautiful wilderness spot called Eagle Pond. On the way, they would camp overnight. So the special word here is wilderness. All the words that are in bold are new vocabulary words. Just then, the door opened. Stacy's other friend, Katie, darted out. She jumped onto a big chair and snuggled down into its cushion. "Ask us what birds we'll see at Eagle Pond, Barbie," said Katie eagerly. A big smile lit up her face. They had been kidding around all week. "Okay," Barbie played along. "What kind of birds live at Eagle Pond? Take a wild guess." "Eagles," the girls shouted. "Right," Barbie said. "Bald eagles. That's how the lake got its name. And since bald eagles have been taken off the endangered species list, our chances of seeing one will be better than ever." Special word, endangered species. As Barbie spoke, a pretty woman wearing a fleece pullover joined them. Her arms were clasped along her chest. She was shivering. "That's good news about the eagles," the woman said. "The other good news is that breakfast is ready, and I'm ready for some hot chocolate. It's hard to believe August can be this chilly." "It will warm up later, Carolyn," Barbie said. "Then it will get cool all over again tonight. That's why I told the girls to wear layers of clothing. They can take off or put on what they need." Stacy shaded her eyes and looked down the driveway. "I see a Jeep," she said. Here's the picture. It's a bald eagle. "It must be Ken," said Barbie. "I've been expecting him." A dark green Park Service Jeep stopped in the driveway. Barbie's friend Ken leapt out and trotted up to the porch. He wore a park ranger's uniform. "Good timing," Barbie greeted him. "We're just about to go in for breakfast." "Super," Ken replied. "I've been hiding the wheel since 5 o'clock and I'm starving." Randy dished out bacon, eggs, and fried potatoes. The group helped themselves to fruit and muffins. At the table, Ken and Barbie went over wilderness safety rules. Ken repeated his description of the missing hiker. When Carolyn and the girls went back for seconds, Barbie asked Ken what he had started to say earlier. "We've got this kind of disturbing report," he replied. "I'm sure you'll be in no danger, but..." "More hot chocolate, folks," offered Randy. He stood behind them holding a pot. They nodded, and he filled their cups. The others returned. "Barbie, how far is it to the pond?" Janet asked. 8 miles, Barbie answered. "We'll hike the hardest, longest part today. Tomorrow's walk will be much shorter and easier." "Which pond?" Randy asked. His blue eyes were bright with interest. "Eagle Pond," Stacy told him excitedly, "where bald eagles nest." Randy's mouth dropped open in surprise. "Eagle Pond," he exclaimed. "Haven't you heard about the sighting there?" "What sighting?" Carolyn asked. Ken held his finger to his lips, warning Randy to be quiet. Randy paid no attention to him. "Someone saw an animal up there," he answered slowly. "A real peculiar critter. Looks like a bear. Walks like a man. He has 3 claws like hooked razors on each paw. They call him Clawman," the 3 girls shrieked. The other guests in the dining room stopped talking. The room went silent. Chapter 2. "Clawman," Carolyn repeated. She looked confused. "Who's Clawman?" "You really don't know, Mom?" asked Janet. "Everyone knows about Clawman. It's not a who, it's a what," Randy explained, pulling up a chair. He poured himself a steaming mug of hot chocolate and took a sip. "It's a thing that folks say has been roaming these hills since the Ice Age." Barbie looked doubtful. "Come on, Randy. Everyone knows that Clawman isn't real. It's a hoax, a story somebody made up." Here's another new vocabulary word. Hoax. Story somebody made up. "But what about that picture?" Stacy protested. "We saw it on TV. It showed Clawman running into the woods, sort of looking over his shoulder." "You mean the video was taken here?" Janet exclaimed. "I saw the picture in a newspaper too," added Katie excitedly. "So it must be true." "Experts say that picture is fake," Ken told them, "but people still believe that Clawman is real. From time to time, someone reports seeing him, which is what happened here a couple days ago." He turned to Barbie. "That's what I've been trying to tell you. I'm sure you're in no danger, but I really didn't want to upset the girls." He frowned at Randy. The cowboy's face turned redder. "Well, I didn't mean to upset you folks either," Randy said quickly. "Probably no waiting for us on the trail? Katie wondered. Or at the pond? Janet cried. Or where we're camping, so he can get us when we're asleep. Clawman is not real, Barbie said calmly. Anyway, even in the stories he's described as shy and harmless. They say he eats only berries and twigs and keeps to himself. Randy's just trying to scare you, added Carolyn. She looked puzzled. Although I can't imagine why. Don't take him seriously. Randy has been telling Clawman stories for so long he probably believes them himself, Ken explained, and makes him feel important. Well, it's important for us to be on our way, said Barbie. We need every bit of daylight to make camp in time. Ken unfolded a map, and the group crowded around it. Barbie pointed to spots highlighted in yellow marker. Here's our trail, she said, and here's Aspen Falls, where we'll camp tonight. Ken will meet us there tomorrow, then we'll all follow this logging road to Eagle Pond. Near the lake, there's a fire tower with awesome views, Ken told them. You guys can climb up and take pictures, and I can scout out the mountainside for that hiker we've been searching for. If we haven't found him by then, that is. Or if Clawman hasn't gotten him by then, Stacy said. Or if Clawman hasn't gotten us by then, Janet added, shuddering once again. Talking in worried whispers, the girls went to their rooms and got their backpacks. They dragged the gear out to the porch. Each carried a sleeping bag, extra clothes, and a water bottle. Barbie and Carolyn were carrying packs that held 2 tents, food, a first aid kit, and a cooking pot. Here's the map. Barbie also packed a small gas camping stove to reduce the risk of forest fires. Open campfires were not allowed on the trail. As the hike began, the girls walked quietly. They crossed a meadow filled with wildflowers and humming with insects. Suddenly they heard a surprising sound. Was that a meow? Asked Stacy. I hope a cat isn't lost out there, said Janet. Then they saw a gray bird flutter from a pine branch. It made a shrill mewing sound. It's not a cat, it's a bird, exclaimed Katie. Barbie peered through her binoculars. A talented bird. It's a mockingbird. Mockingbirds mimic the sounds of other birds and animals make. Here's another new vocabulary word. Binoculars. I wonder if they can imitate Clawman like Randy, said Carolyn. Mother, Janet protested, but everyone laughed. The laughter helped the girls relax, and soon they were having fun on their adventure. The ground quickly sloped upward and became a steep trail. Barbie showed the others how to follow painted marks called blazes to stay on the right path. The sun grew brighter and hotter as they walked. The girls kept stopping to remove layers of clothing and apply bug spray and sunblock. Even though the sun was hot, there was occasional patches of snow. One large patch caught Barbie's eye. It was marked with 3 pointed clusters. What unusual tracks, Barbie said, kneeling. I wonder what could have made them. Something with 3 toes, guessed Katie. Or 3 claws, added Stacy. Clawman, cried Janet. So here are the tracks. Chapter 3. Barbie stood up and flipped through her field guide. Really, girls, I'm sure these tracks were made by something perfectly ordinary, she said, but nothing in the guide matched the tracks in the snow. Maybe food will help calm them down, she thought. They stopped at a smooth, gray rock ledge overlooking the valley. Below them, they could see the Rocky Mountain Lodge, tiny as a dollhouse. Wow, look how far we've climbed, Katie exclaimed. Carolyn pulled plastic bags out of her pack. Barbie unrolled a tarp and spread out a feast of sandwiches, fruit, and cookies. The girls were hungry from the tough workout. Before long, they had devoured every crumb. New word. Devoured. Eat it all up. Stacy said, licking her fingers. Peanut butter and jelly never tasted so good. Barbie took a sip of a high-energy sports drink. She gazed down at the lodge and the surrounding cabins, fields, and barns. It was like looking at a toy world. What a fantastic picture that would make, Barbie thought. She took out her camera and set it on a flat rock. As she adjusted the lens, her hand brushed up against something. It was a round piece of black plastic caught in a crack in the rock. One edge was jagged as if it had been broken. Barbie shook her head. Someone certainly was careless, she said. Trash should never be left around to spoil the scenery for others. She put the fragment into a garbage bag. We'll throw this away back at the lodge. The group finished lunch and began hiking again. The food put the girls in a much better mood. They walked more quickly, singing choruses of This Old Man. Their happy voices bounced off boulders and echoed through the woods. The trail became narrower and rougher. They tripped over loose stones and roots. Low branches whipped their faces. Barbie suggested they walk in single smiling happily. I'll bet that's Aspen Falls, they said. We're almost at our campsite. Big picture again. So here's Barbie, Carolyn, Stacy, Janet, and Katie. They soon arrived at the waterfalls. Tall, slender aspen trees framed a waterfall formed by 3 streams. The streams foam into a deep, inviting blue-green pool. The hikers spread out their blanket and knelt at the edge of the pool. They splashed their hot faces with cool water. It felt wonderful. The hikers relaxed as they took in the beautiful view of the falls. Let's pitch our tents before it gets dark, suggested Barbie a little while later. They carried their backpacks to a nearby spot where the ground was level. But as before, someone had been hiding there first. Or something. Here we go again, Carolyn murmured. Broken twigs lay scattered on the ground. Leaves had been flung into ragged piles. The earth was all torn up. It looks as if a tornado hit, said Barbie. A fur tornado, Carolyn added slowly. Then everyone noticed the clumps of reddish-brown fur everywhere. A strong breeze blew the unmistakable sour odor right at them. Another new vocabulary word. Unmistakable. Stacy made a gagging sound. Janet clutched her mother's hand. Katie's mouth opened in horror. She was pointing at something behind Barbie. Barbie wheeled around. Something was hanging from a twig, something bright orange. Barbie walked over and carefully took it down, using a plastic bag as a glove again. She held it by one corner. It was an orange bandana. Orange except for an ugly red stain. Blood, Janet whispered. It's blood. Clawman got the hiker. Chapter 4. Carolyn frowned. I hate to say it, Barbie, but I'm getting worried myself. Maybe we should turn back. Barbie was concerned, too, and worried about the condition of the missing hiker. But she knew they couldn't turn back. Hiking at night in the wilderness would be extremely dangerous, Barbie said. No, let's set up camp now while it's still light. Then I'll try to call the ranger station. Everyone got busy. They pitched the tents and unrolled their mats and sleeping bags. They carried water from the pool and set up for dinner on a flat rock. The girls stayed close together the whole time, not saying a word. Carolyn cooked a delicious one-pot meal of chicken, vegetables, and rice, but nobody felt much like eating. Carolyn cooked a delicious one-pot meal of chicken, vegetables, and rice, but nobody felt much like eating. Then Barbie tried the ranger station on her phone. No answer, she reported. They must still be out searching for the hiker, but I left a message describing what we found. The sun dropped below the ridge. Darkness came on quickly. Stars as bright as diamonds speckled the sky. Barbie pointed out the Milky Way and some constellations to calm the girls, but they were too scared to enjoy stargazing. They only wanted to get inside their tent and hide. I'm going to keep my flashlight on all night to scare Clawman away, Janet announced. Okay, honey, her mom replied. Just know what happened to him, Janet said. Or why we keep finding places so messed up, Katie added. Not yet, said Barbie, but maybe we'll spot something from up in the fire tower. Meanwhile, let's hope for the best and get to Pond. We have a date with some bald eagles, remember? Barbie and Ken led the way down the old logging road. Here's another picture. It's a watchtower. Carolyn and the girls checked their cameras to see how much film they had left. Before long, they saw Eagle Pond. The fire tower loomed high above them. Stairs wound through the center of the tower. I'll go up first and check things out, Barbie said. He quickly climbed the stairs. A moment later, he appeared at the top and gave a thumbs up. Janet's mom went up first. Janet and Katie followed after her. Barbie gave each girl a boost and then turned to help Stacy, but Stacy had disappeared. Barbie tried not to panic. Stacy, where are you? She called. She shaded her eyes and scanned the area. She's over there, Barbie, Ken called from the tower by the pond. Barbie glimpsed Stacy's blonde hair as her sister skipped around the small body of water. She hurried after her. Barbie crossed a large snowy spot. She saw more tracks in the snow. Some of them were like the ones from the trail, but the last cluster was very big. The 3 points formed a triangle. Three points, 3 claws, Barbie thought. Her heart started to stammer. I know Clawman isn't real, but still. Stacy, she called. Come back. Her little sister waved and started walking toward her. Barbie studied the tracks again. Its 3 points were still far apart. Much too far apart to have been made by any animal or bird, at least by any ordinary animal or bird. Then she heard that familiar, terrifying sound. Woo-wee, ah. Something crashed and pounded in the narrow strip of woods next to the pond. The wind carried the same sickly odor. Barbie was taking no chances. Stacy, run! But Stacy was already on her way. She raced away from the woods and threw herself into Barbie's arms. Barbie swept her into a big hug. Woo-wee, ah! Barbie was determined to get to the bottom of the mystery once and for all. Clutching Stacy tightly, she raised her binoculars toward the thin grip of woods. What she saw made her grasp. She lowered the binoculars and rubbed her eyes. Then she adjusted the focus and looked again. I don't believe it, she exclaimed. Believe what? Stacy asked. Is it Clawman? They heard a commotion up in the fire tower. Barbie looked up to see Ken frantically motioning to her to come up. Katie and Janet pointed to the woods, yelling, Clawman. Carolyn shouted, run, run. Chapter 6. Stacy whispered, don't worry, sweetie. Barbie told her, it's okay, but let's get you up to the tower. Ken charged down the stairs. His face was tight with concern. Stacy raced up the winding stairs. Carolyn reached down and pulled her up to the top. Aren't you coming? She called to Barbie. No, Barbie answered, not yet. We've got something to do, but don't worry. She grabbed Ken's hand. Come on, she said. You have to see something. You simply won't believe it. But I just Ken's jaw dropped. What in the world? Sitting there, holding his ankle, was a young man. A bear's head mask had been pushed up off his face. His body was covered with brownish red, ratty-looking fur. A camera dangled from his neck. A photographer's tripod lay next to him. Its 3 legs were closed, but when opened, they would look like 3 giant, widely spaced claws. The young man wore black high tops. His hands were stained red, and he smelled terrible. Clawman, I presume, Barbie asked, arms folded across her chest. Actually, I'm Chris Wilson, answered the ridiculous-looking creature. Chris Wilson, exclaimed Ken, the hiker. We've been searching for you. And it looks as if we've been following you, Barbie said. Not on purpose, I might add. Chris pulled the bear mask off his head. I'm sorry, he said. I never meant to cause any trouble. I should have known my buddies wouldn't trust my wilderness skills and would call the ranger. Chris I should have known my buddies wouldn't trust my wilderness skills and would call the ranger. Carolyn, Janet, Katie, and Stacy had seen the chase from the tower. Now they joined Barbie and Ken, keeping their distance from the smelly Chris Wilson. Want to tell us what's going on? Barbie asked Chris. Here's the picture. So, there's Barbie rushed back into the woods. It's another picture. Chapter 7. Woo-wee-ah, woo-wee-ah. The sounds came one after another, and with them all the girls' worst fears came rushing back. Clawman is real, Janet cried. Let's go hide in the tower. Barbie, I think Janet's right, said Carolyn. Let's go. But Barbie stayed calm. She looked through her binoculars at a pine tree, then smiled. No need to panic, she reported. A little birdie just told me there's nothing to worry about. Slowly, Chris rejoined the group. His shoulders were slumped in disappointment. I'm out of film, just when I might have the real Clawman and make some big money. There is no real Clawman, Barbie replied. There was only you and another talented imitator. A gray and white mockingbird flew out of the pine tree. He shrilled, "Foo-ee-ah," over and over. Then he flew away. Everything became quiet for a moment. Well, you certainly solved the mystery, Barbie, said Carolyn, laughing. Good job. And I did get some great nature shots, Chris added. Maybe the editor will buy them instead of Clawman's pictures. I'll stop by her office when we get to town. Ken put his walkie-talkie away. I talked to the search party, he reported. I told them we had found our missing hiker and that we could use a lift to town. They'll meet us in jeeps down the road. Barbie took a large folded garbage bag from her basket. Before we all travel together, Chris, why don't you get rid of Clawman's personality? Chris wriggled out of the costume and dropped it in the bag. Then he added the headpiece. I guess I won't be needing these anymore. No, but you will need a bath, said Carolyn, as the girls giggled. On the way back to town, Chris apologized to everyone. I didn't mean to mess up your trip or mess up the woods either. Guess I wasn't thinking of anything but getting those pictures. The photographer looked miserable. Barbie knew that he wished he had never heard of Clawman. As they dropped him off in town, Barbie patted his arm and wished him luck. She had a feeling that from now on, Chris would choose the nature he photographed more carefully. Everyone slept soundly that night. The next day, they packed and waited on the porch for Ken to take them to the airport. Randy approached them, beaming. I'm sure glad to see you're all safe and sound, Randy said, because it turns out Clawman really is on the loose. Oh, Barbie asked, how can you be sure? I know it for a fact, he replied. See, I wanted to find Clawman myself, so I went out to the woods after you. I found pieces of stingo fur everywhere, so I knew he had to be out there. Finally, I heard his cry. You know, the one that goes, we know, Carolyn and the girls interrupted. You don't need to show us. I followed the sound, and I saw him, Randy continued. I didn't get too close, but close enough for a darn good picture. He winked at them. The best part is, I know someone who'll pay me a ton of money for it. Barbie's eyes twinkled. Oh, really, she said, even for a picture of Clawman wearing sneakers. Randy was puzzled. Clawman doesn't wear sneakers. What are you talking about? Take a look at your photo, Barbie said. Randy pulled out the picture, and the girls crowded around. There was Chris Wilson in his Clawman costume, complete with black eye tops. They clapped their hands over their mouths to hold back their giggles. Randy was shocked. let's just